No, in the aggregate, you still see some change, like although probably the significance of the change goes down a bit in the aggregate, but you still see like significant change, but over low magnitude. So it doesn't completely cancel out.
Wouldn't be very hard to incorporate, like to have like a closed labor market, right? You just fix labor supply, and then just see what the wage does.
Yeah, we should probably do it in the next one.
How representative is your data center of both the soil tap and the yields? Can you make a judgment for the whole country based on this?
Well, we can make a judgment call for like that region, which is representative of the middle Thailand.
Yeah, but soil taps varies hugely across both across the country and for the provinces. Both the soil taps and the productivity.
That's true. So our here we take soil quality into account when we model rice prediction. But you can argue that, in a very different soil setting, effects of climate change will be different. But let's also look at the effects of soil quality for our sample. But just comparing here model predictions to DSAT, we see that even taking the small, just one way farmers can adjust, changes in input levels makes a big effect on rice yields. And we can also see that farmers are able to actually benefit from a milder climate change and to some extent go to neutralizing the adverse effect of a more extreme climate change, although they cannot completely neutralize. And okay, so we wanted to see how income and soil quality affect this decrease or increase in yield. So we'll look at probability of households' per capita income being below the median, given that households experience significant increase or decrease in yield. And we'll also compare soil quality between plots with and without statistically significant change. And we'll look at two indicators of soil quality. One is pH, and another is cation exchange capacity, and pretty much both are not easily adjusted with fertilizers. So this table gives results for DSAT predictions. So top of the table is for yield increase. First row gives the probability given that the plot had statistically significant increase in rice yields. What was the probability that the household that owns that plot had below median per capita income? Then second row gives mean change in pH level comparing plots with statistically significant yield increase to plots with no statistical significant yield increase. And third row gives the significance of that change in soil quality. And rows 4 and 5 do the same for cation exchange capacity. And the bottom part of the table does the same thing for yield decrease. So what we see is that for DSAT, neither the household income level nor the soil quality really affect changes in rice yields under either high or low emission scenarios. And I mean, the fact that soil quality doesn't matter is intuitive because we already account for soil quality when we model rice yield prediction. And this table does the same comparison for model predictions. And we see the same thing, that soil quality is not significant at all in whether farmers' yields go up or down, and farmers' income doesn't really matter too, with one exception, that under low emissions climate change scenario, plots that do experience decrease in rice yields are more likely to belong to kind of poorer households. So remember that according to the model predictions and the low emissions scenario, most farmers actually benefited slightly and experienced a slight increase in yields, and a small group experienced a complete crop failure. So this results tells us that the small group that didn't manage to benefit in circumstances when everyone else was kind of well off, they're likely to be relatively poor. And that's the end of our presentation. And in conclusion, just to emphasize again, we think our results are interesting because they show how much taking into account farmers' adjustment affects predictions of economic and welfare effects of climate change. And also they kind of underline how just considering two different climate scenarios, high and low, can yield very different results, and non-linear results and sometimes counterintuitive results. But also again, in our modeling, we do not take into account a number of adjustment techniques that farmers can use. We don't take into account that they might grow some other crop, stop growing rice completely, or that they can use some new inputs that weren't available before, or that they will change the timing of or the structure of their cultivation process, or that there'll be some huge economic changes that will affect like, for example, prices, input prices or output prices. So, thank you. And if you have questions.